Erev Tov, Boker Tov, Shalom, everyone. It's so wonderful to be back here. I look forward to every Monday night, and it keeps coming. Sometimes it keeps coming every Monday night. Very excited for this Monday, as most Mondays. Good morning, Rose. So good to see you.
Hi, Tovah. Good morning, Migraines. Welcome.
Hi.
Hi. Migraines is an author as well as a journalist, and I'm really intrigued with her lovely book called Listen to Your Soul and Heal Your Body. Do you think you could tell us a little bit more about your book and about your journey, please, Migraines?
Yeah. So first, I'm going to say I'm very, very, very excited to be on the show, because for me, this is like the first time I'm going to tell my story in English. I've told it so many times in Hebrew, but now this is the first time in English. And also to be on the global show, since I'm co-hosting with Tovah the sister show, the Israel TMS Roundtable Israel. So for me, I'm very, very excited to be here. And thank you for the opportunity to share my story. So Listen to Your Soul and Heal Your Body is basically, it was written after it took me 10 years to heal myself from 8 illnesses, diseases I had, both physically and mentally. And I will count them down so we will know what we're talking about. So I had asthma. I was bulimic. I had the bipolar disorder. I had migraines. I had 2 disc hernias. I had a cannabis addiction. I had allergies and hypothyroidism. And what else?
Fibromyalgia.
No, not that. 8 of them. Maybe I forgot something. So I was like a very, very sick person. I did not consider myself as a sick person, but I had like many diseases. And 15 years ago, I went on the journey of self-heal. And that journey started the day I got the diagnosis of the hypothyroidism. As I went out of the endocrinologist office, who said, congratulations, you have Hashimoto. It's an autoimmune disease, and you need to take the certain drug, probably for the rest of your life, because your thyroid doesn't function from like almost 20 years ago. I was like, oh my God, another pill, another drug. It was like something is not normal. It didn't feel like, I was feeling like a walking pharmacy, because I was already treated with so many drugs and pills, and I was only 32. And something didn't feel right, And also, I remember I kept saying to myself, and it took like a few months before I started doing something. I said to myself, how is it possible that the body attacks itself? Something isn't right. It's not logical. I mean, this machine is so genius. How come it attacks itself? Okay. But, I know nothing, who am I to like go against what the doctor said? But I kept hearing this voice loud and clear that said, you can live life with no drugs. You can heal yourself. You can be healthy. And I kept hearing this voice, and I kept hearing it and hearing it. And then I went on an almost 4-year journey in which I just read thousands of healings, of self-heal stories, of healing stories. I started to read about books that were written by doctors, but not the doctors I met at the hospital.
That's right.
Other kinds of doctors, like Jerome Sarno, David Barney Siegel, David Schreiber, all kinds of other doctors that tell different stories. And all the stories, all the healing stories I've heard from, one after another, hundreds of healings from cancer. This is the joke. I think I healed myself because of all the cancer stories, because there were more cancer stories than other diseases stories. And one after another, and body-mind connection, and all the faults in the medical industry, all the limitation of the conventional medicine, like started to read more and more and more, because it didn't feel right to have so many medications, so many drugs. And I think and Louise Hay, of course, the Queen, may she rest in peace.
Yeah.
And I think it was after like 4 years, I remember I closed the book of Brandon Bass, the one who wrote The Journey. I closed the book, and I remember telling myself, Meirav, if this woman healed herself from a fucking basketball in her belly, you can heal yourself from asthma. I was like, I'm going to do this first. I remember closing the book and telling for myself, I'm going to do it. I'm going to heal myself from asthma. And it took me 4 months to do it. And one thing I've learned many stuff, of course, over the years. Just a minute. I came to realize that there are 4 channels in which a disease evolves, and therefore there are 4 healing channels. The first one is the physical, the pathology, the physical. The second one is the emotional, the emotional root of the disease, what the disease is trying to tell us, what the human soul is trying to tell us through this disease. The energetic one, and the spiritual one. And the funny thing is that to heal myself from asthma, I didn't even change my diet, on the physical stuff. I just treated myself energetically and emotionally. And for me, the asthma, the reason I got the asthma, the emotional thing was that for me, the asthma was sitting on that. Like my breath was taken away every time my dad hit me. I was a beaten child through my childhood, And every time he yelled at me, and every time he came to hit me, I was like, my breath was taken away. And I'm like summing it up, But I think that what led to them for the healing was the guided imagination, which a healer, a therapist, who was also, she did a good session. And in that session, I literally hit my dad, like 4 of us, 4 of me, in 4 different ages. We beat him up like I never did in my personal life as a child. And we beat him up, and I took out all the anger and all the rage and all the And then it just made room for forgiveness and for acceptance. And that was like that thing that enabled me to heal myself from the asthma after 18 years of steroids and inhalers and like not breathing well. So this was like the first thing out of the 8 illnesses, different illnesses. This was the first story.
Wow.
Wow, fantastic. So did the other problems heal at the same time? Was there a lessening of a problem? Oh, so your other problems remained. So you cured the asthma as an individual problem, and then, but you still had the other problems.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
It took me 10 years to heal myself from all the illnesses. The asthma, after 4 years, so it took about like actively doing active stuff besides the reading and like broadening my horizons and my knowledge. It took me 6 years, and the asthma took 4 months. Then I had many more years before. I mean, I was able to heal myself from asthma, yeah. But do you think the doctors like acknowledge that? Or told me, yes, you can do it with your thyroid. Yes, you can do it with the bite. No, I was rejected. And I was like, yeah, but I healed myself from asthma. I was so excited. And they were like, okay, yeah, but you know that asthma is emotional. You're not going to do it with this and that. How do you say, psychosomatic.
Psychosomatic.
No,
psychiatrist.
The psychiatrist.
Oh, okay.
He told me, you are never going to be able to adjust your chemistry in the brain. This is genetical. Hooray for you for what you did with the asthma, but you cannot fix the biochemistry in your mind. You cannot. You will never be able to, So, and again, yes, I've read books, but who am I? Because we feel so small when all the smart.
Good comment. Yeah.
When the smart doctors with the white robes, and they are smart, they are. And I'm not against medical. I'm so grateful for all the doctors who treated me. Even the psychiatrist, he helped me when I wanted to die, and I wanted to die in many months. Okay, he helped me, but still, we feel so. I'm not almost stupid in front of them because they make us feel so small. And even though I succeeded in curing myself from asthma, I did not really believe I can do it with all my other illnesses. And I had like much more walk to walk in order to be able to do it. Because like every illness, every disease tells a kind of a different story, sits on a different emotional route, tells another story, another aspect. This is what I found out, and it took me little by little.
Okay. Can I just sort of interrupt it for a minute and just ask you, were all these illnesses, were you already on, I can't remember the drug for Hashimoto's, were you already on these drugs, or did it all happen together, or did it like the asthma cured and then something else came and something else came?
No.
What's the trajectory?
No, it all started on different, like the bulimia started when I was 17. The asthma started when I was 18, the day I went into the army. It like just showed up. Yeah. And after a few years, I got the disc hernia. Excuse me. When I joined the army, I got both the migraines and the asthma on the same week. I never had it before, and they both started the week I enrolled to the army, because in Israel we do obligatory service. So on the same week, both of them started, the asthma and the migraines, and then came the disc hernias, and then came the the manic depressive state. At the beginning, he did not tell me it was a bipolar disorder. It took him a while in order to tell me that diagnosis. And then the last thing, when I was 32, I was diagnosed with a hypothyroid.
Yeah.
And the allergies came back and forth also in my 20s. Like every time, like every few years, something else added.
Okay. Were you a child that had tummy aches?
No.
So you had no tummy aches at all when you were at school?
As a child.
Nothing.
Nothing.
So you never needed to have days off from school because of period pain or tummy aches or anything like that?
I still don't feel my period. I feel nothing. No, I was a very, very healthy girl.
Good. I'm just trying to look at the whole picture. That's all.
Timeline,
that the people that are watching can sort of get an idea to actually, like what you've just said is that when you joined the army, you were under a great deal of pressure and your independence was really taken away. And you had to do all this routine, and all of a sudden it was sort of like, you've got a sergeant or whatever they call them, telling you what to do. And, all that sort of stuff just sort of hit you. But I was wondering if there was stuff earlier on that was bothering you. So sorry to interrupt your...
It's amazing, and I think that my psychotherapist, the one who helped me to heal myself from the asthma, the first round, she told me, she had an explanation and it sounded great for me at the time. She said, because listen, I was a healthy child. I used to go to sick friends in order to get sick, to not go to school, and I got nothing. But
perfect.
But the minute I left my house, my home, and joined the army, the same week to illnesses, yeah. And she told me something that for me it sounded logical. She said, "You survived the horror of the house. You survived it, and you lived through it. And
yes,
you left the house, the danger zone, and you went into a new place, a new start. The body started to tell the story. So you will not forget." And when she told me that, I was like, "Oh my God, that's so logical." The rage, the migraines, all the anger, and I was a pleaser. I'm a firstborn. I was a pleaser. My dad, the problem was that my dad not only hit me, he adored me. Wow. I was the cherry of the top. I was the smart one. I was the one who's gonna be a doctor. He died many years ago. He adored me. So the polarity between adoring and beating the shit out of you when I get pissed off. So the minute I left the house, it started.
Yeah. Wow. Well, that's why I wondered when you said about being beaten by someone who loves you. So that's really a mixed message, isn't it? That, you should be punished, but I love you anyway. I thought, I wonder if the tummy ache started. That was why I interjected there, because often with patients, they'll say, yes, I did. I used to have cramps, or I used to have, leg problems or whatever as children. So anyway, keep going because it's a fantastic story. So,
I think I was such a pleaser as a firstborn, and someone who gets so much admiration that I didn't let myself. I didn't let my body, unconsciously, of course, tell what I'm really thinking, what I'm really feeling.
Right. Yeah.
I did not have the how do you call it when you rebel? I did not rebel at my teens. I was such a good girl. I was such a pleaser. I had the good grades, Lucky for me, I knew that he was the fucked up one. I knew that I'm not supposed to get beat. I knew that this is wrong, you know?
Yeah.
So lucky for me, because I see women today, I guide people, you know, in their self-heal journeys, and I see women who are taught to believe that they deserve not to be respected. They deserve to be hit. So lucky for me, I knew that this is wrong.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. I'm going to just take a commercial. I'm going to take a commercial break. Can you just show our listeners your books, pictures of your, can you show each book, please?
Of course. This is the first one.
See, that's the one that caught my eye.
Yeah, listen to your soul and heal your body from chronic disease. And I need to say that for me, I know, because there's a bit of a translation difference. For me, when I talk about the soul, when I say listen to your soul, this is not the spirit. I'm talking about the human soul. Because in Hebrew, we have a word for the human soul that means both mental and emotional state. This is the human soul, your emotions, your beliefs, desires, and everything.
The whole body, the whole person, you're saying.
Yeah, and the emotional system. So when I say listen to your soul, I actually mean like the body and what you call body-mind connection.
Yeah.
In Hebrew, we call it body-soul connection. The body speaks the language of the soul, of the hurting soul, of the bleeding soul. And the body talks that language through the disease, through the illness, through the pain, especially chronic pains, but not just.
Right.
So when I say listen to your soul and heal yourself, I actually mean if we can hear what our soul is trying to scream to us, to scream through the illness, then we are making so much progress to get to the emotional root of what this disease or the pain is trying to tell us. So this is the first one. And and you know why I wrote this book? You know, because I did not plan to write a book. I was a journalist, I wrote a lot, but I did not plan to write a book. But it took me, sorry for the language, fucking 10 years to do it. That's a long time. And I told myself, Migrav, if you can put all your knowledge, so that it will not take 10 years for people to heal themselves from pains, from illnesses, from diseases. Let them have your knowledge so it will not take them so long, because it took me so long because I did not know where to go, where to look, what to look for.
Where to start.
I was experimenting. I did so many protocols that failed, that did not succeed. You know, I've been like bitten and I failed so many times, and it takes time to get yourself up again, and again to listen to the voice and raise yourself. Never mind, I'll try again. Hearing the voice again. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. It took me a long time. So this is why I wrote the first book. And the second book is called How to Be Our Own Psychologist. Okay. And it has a module inside. Yay. And I wrote this book because, even when we heal ourselves, the healing itself doesn't stop. It doesn't end. We need to take care of ourselves all the time, because life just keeps on bringing us stuff and things to handle, and hurts and worries and things to be scared from. And most of us, we do not go to see a professional because it's too much money. We don't have the time. It's not helpful. Nothing will help me. People will think I'm mental. All kinds of, of reasons why most people don't go to a professional for therapy, to heal their soul, you know,
Right.
to heal their emotional body. And realizing that, I thought to myself, okay, but we can treat ourselves. We can make ourselves put in much better position if we will just listen to ourselves, if we will just ask the right questions. And this is why I sat down to write this book. This one was written when I started my own clinic where I guide people on their self-heal journeys. So this was already stuff I've been practicing in my clinic. Okay, this one. And by the way, the shortest answer to the question how to be our own psychologist, the shorter answer is to connect to the part within us that knows.
Exactly.
To connect to that part, and from that connection, to ask the right questions. This is like the shortest answer to this question. Mm-hmm. And then I have my third book. It wasn't yet translated to English. It's called How to Be Kinder to Oneself. And this is a very, very heavy therapeutic model, which like it takes the second book further, further
to another to another level.
Yeah, very, very deep therapeutical. Yeah.
One of the things that is important with healing is understanding the self-criticism. Would you talk a little bit about your third book so that our viewers and our can just sort of get an idea of how that critical part works in us to prevent us from healing? Because I haven't read that book, so I don't know fully what it is, but I would imagine that it's about understanding your own psyche and how it's operating, and how that part of you that wants you to be the perfectionist or whatever is operating within you. Can you explore that a little bit more for us so that we can get expanded a bit more?
Yeah. Oh my God. Self-criticism is the worst. It's the worst. I mean, we just keep beating ourselves, again.
We're not even aware of it. It's like beyond subconscious. We're not even aware of it. We do it so habitually.
Yeah.
We don't even see it.
Yeah.
So first, I mean, even physically, I don't know if it's Dr. Bruce Lipton who talked about it, about the fact that when we hate ourselves, when we talk badly to ourselves, our immune system is weakened. Weakened? You say weakened?
Yeah, it's
weakened.
It's chemical.
Yeah.
It's chemical. It's like talking to the plants or talking to the rice. The brain starts to protect even more.
Yeah.
Because it's protecting an energetic level of that word. Remember the lemon experiment I did with my daughter? I showed the pictures. We spoke, you couldn't believe it. We just spoke similar words to one lemon and ugly words to one and pretty words to another. The same lemon in a cup for 2 weeks. You couldn't believe the lemon with the good words was untouched. Beautiful yellow lemon. The one we spoke hate was moldy and had petria. And I screamed. I said, oh my God, the lemon has energy. Meirav, I couldn't believe it. Rose, I couldn't believe it. It was like all the neuroscience I've ever read came true. The lemon has energy. So even if my patient comes in and says, oh, my back is bad, I'm thinking, wait a minute, or I'm having a bad day. It's like we have to be careful about these words. Continue. Thank you for that.
Yeah. So first of all, physically, it hurts us. And it's proven. It hurts us. And it hurts the immune system, and most it hurts our soul. our emotional system. I mean, we cannot heal ourselves if we hate ourselves. And self-criticism is to hate ourselves, is not accepting ourselves. It's like talking bad to ourselves. It's like punching ourselves over and over and over and over and over again. But the solution, and I think one of the solutions to stop the self-criticism is to switch it, and I'm talking about it in my second book and in my third book, because the answer is self-compassion. We need to change the self-criticism to be self-compassionate about ourselves. And compassion is to be nice at the situation of failure, of weakness, of doing something bad, and still being compassionate and still have good emotions and good words to ourselves in this situation. And I mean, many times, I mean, this is the sad part. Most of us we are our own critics, because we were criticized. We were criticized so many times over the years, whether it was the gods of our childhood, our parents, whether it was the teachers, all the educators, whether it was family or grown-ups or other grown-ups around us. Most of us were criticized. Doesn't matter on which level, and I'm not talking about violence and abuse, because we have that also. I'm talking about normative families, And I think that along the way, we fire all the outside critics. We just fire them. And we said, well, I don't need you. I can do it myself. I will tell myself I'm stupid, I'm not smart, I'm not good enough, I'm this, I'm that. I don't need you anymore. I know how to do it by myself. And this is sad. This is sad, you know? Like we laugh at it, but it's so, so, so sad. And you cannot heal yourself if you say bad things about yourself. You cannot heal yourself if you feel, because you think you're stupid, you feel the feeling that is, well, how do you say it? When they combine, you know, with the bad thought comes a bad emotion, right? So you think bad about yourself, you feel better about yourself, and then this is not the way to let your body do what it knows, and that's to heal yourself. Our job, if we want to heal ourselves from pain or diseases, is to provide the body with the right mental and emotional platform, so it will be able to heal itself. You don't heal on the platform of self-hate. You do not heal on the platform of self-criticism, in my opinion, in my humble opinion.
Well, a reflection I just had is when you said about self-compassion and about, you know, in failure to be compassionate, I thought, again, out of compassion comes forgiveness for being human. You know, that it's okay to be human, to have something that isn't quite right, and just move on. Now, tell us a little bit more about the journey, because it's just really the way you've put it together is so beautiful, and I really would like you to share a little bit more about that journey. You know, you've said about curing yourself from asthma, and that it was the compression in your chest, that feeling of being told off again. So tell us a little bit more, especially about the thyroid. That's the final one. Were you still in the army then, or were you out?
What?
Were you still in the army, or were you already out of the army when you got the Hashimoto's?
No, I was 32. I was in the army for 2 years, from 18 to 20.
Okay.
The girls served 2 years.
Oh, okay.
So it was many years ago later.
Yeah. No. I just to get an idea if you were still under that type of pressure. So look, before you start,
can I say something?
What was the next lot of pressure you gave yourself? What was the next lot of pressure you gave yourself?
After the army.
Pressure? What do you mean by pressure? I can't understand the question.
Okay. What
what challenges were you dealing with?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're born again.
Yeah.
There it goes. What challenges were you were still getting sick after the army? So what challenges were you facing that your body wasn't healing? Your body was fighting itself? Your body was attacking itself year after year after the army?
Listen, it took many years for all the diseases to evolve. I mean, yes, through the army, I had asthma and I had the migraines. And then it took a few more years before the first disc hernia. Okay. And then I had surgery. And then for a year, everything was okay. And then I had another disc hernia. And then I had another surgery. And in the meanwhile, I have allergies. But, you just live with it. I did not treat myself as a sick person.
Okay. But
I think the problem started when I started to be depressive. This is where it really started to bother me in my life. When I started to be depressed, when I wanted to die. I mean, I had kids. I didn't care about the kids. I wanted to die. I was driving in the road, and I was praying for a truck to run me over and to end with it, because I didn't have the courage to end my life. This was like all the other stuff. I lived with it. I took medication. Everything was okay. I took the pain pills, the migraines, the this and that. I used to live with it. But the depression, this was like a major thing. Even the addiction, the cannabis addiction, like, okay, I was stoned. I don't care. I lived with all of them. But the depression, this was like a real thing to handle.
Okay, but what was going on in the background? Did you have a high pressure job? Did you have a lot of pressure from your family? Where was the pressure that created?
At my work. I was in advertising for 15 years. Before I was a journalist, I was in advertising, and this is a stressful job. I mean, like, war all the time, all the time. But I loved it. I loved it. I loved it.
It's just like your father, isn't it? Your father loved you, and you loved your father, but he was not very nice to you. And now you've got a job that's high pressure, that's giving you a lot of challenge, but it's giving you a lot of grief as well, isn't it?
Yeah. And what you said also is there was an imbalance. There was like this, I love it, but it's got pressure. I love it. It's just all this pressure. It's like there was no, like, I can handle it. I can come home and meditate, and I can go back and
I did not meditate back then. I did not meditate back then. I know nothing back then. I got used to it. I'm a very energetical person, and I adjust myself, and I just got used to it. Like, this was the normal thing to do,
Right.
I didn't feel like I was in a lot of pressure because I got used to it. This is what's like today when I look back at myself, I say, oh my God, what did you do there so many years? But, it was a good money and, and prestige and all the stuff that makes us sell ourselves to the, to the status and all the benefits.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it took me like, I remember the two disc hernias, you know, because when you, because as you probably know, I mean, this is TMS Roundtable, right? So when I look back at the triggers of the disc hernia, because as we know, I will never know when the pathology started. I only know when they discovered it, right? Because of the trigger, because of my spasm, you know. So at both of the times of the disc hernias, I have like the emotional reason. The first one happened when my boss, it felt like my boss in the back. Because I had like a worker, I was a supervisor, and I had like 5 or 6 girls working underneath me. Yeah, I was their supervisor. And one of them was like horrifying. She did so much damage. And I came to and it's very stressful, you know. So I came to my boss and I said, listen, she needs to go. You need to fire her like she does. But he told me, no, you will have to live with her, because I don't remember why, but the big boss wanted her there. Yeah. And there was never a chance they will fire her, you know. And I worked so much hard because of her mistakes and her bad job. And it felt like I was stabbed in the back, like, why don't you back me up, you know? And like 1 or 2 weeks after that, I had a spasm, I couldn't get out of bed, and you know, and the rest is history. I got to the surgery because again, I was not aware about the
connection.
The connection. And then I had, and it was like, oh my God, I suffered so much. And then there was no option. So I went and did the surgery, and I woke up from the surgery and everything was amazing. And I knew I was healed and everything's okay. And it was okay for a year. And then I started a new job. Okay. I started a new job in another advertising agency. And I started the job at this place because of the woman who hired me. She was supposed to be my boss, my direct manager. And 3 weeks after I started, she announced she's leaving. And now I came there for her, okay? And the office, they did not recruit another boss. So I found myself without the woman I came to be with. She was gone. They did not replace her. Plus, my workers underneath me, one by one, got sick, got pregnant, got this and that. And I found myself alone. Didn't know what to do. I mean, with no backup, screaming for the advertising owner, please bring me people. I cannot do this on my own. And I was not heard. So the feeling was that they didn't back me up. They did not back me up. And at this place, I also got a mental breakdown later on.
Okay, stop for a minute. Wow. And tell us a little bit more about what was in you that you remained in that job, because this is part of the system as well, isn't it? Putting up with stuff that you know wasn't fair and wasn't right. You know, like, do you remember that, like, all of these things that you've recounted, they all belong together, don't they? You know, I think it was Jonathan Neer or someone said, there's one person that's is the star of all this stuff in the whole picture. Mm-hmm. And you're the star of oh no, it was Michael Galinsky was talking about being the star of the program. So in a way, just talk a little bit about how you persevered under very awkward and difficult circumstances. How long did you stay with that company without the support? Like, you didn't walk.
A few months.
The others walked.
A few months.
Pardon?
A few months. And then
just talk about that a little bit.
Now listen, I couldn't live because of many reasons. First, it was good money. I need to work. I have mortgage, you know, I have to. I don't have another option. Second of all, my dad was like a warrior, you know, and he raised me to be a warrior. He raised me not to complain. You do whatever you need to do, you know, and I'm a survivor and I'm a warrior. He had like this phrase, those who don't hunt get hunted. Yeah, like this was the phrase I was raised by, you know. So, and I'm a strong woman, you know, so this and that, and I can do it, and never mind, and I'm strong and I can do it, and I have so many qualities, you know. So I just, quitting was not an option, failing was not an option. This is why I got a mental breakdown. I just collapsed at work one day. My mind couldn't bear it, like my soul couldn't bear it.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I collapsed in my office, you know, like fucking painful, you know, it's embarrassing. And I couldn't get out of bed for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I couldn't hear anything. It was my fuses were burned inside my head because I did not listen and did not stop. I did not put, you know, just a sign. That's enough. I'm not going to do it. I couldn't do it. Yeah. So my body did it for me.
Yes, exactly. Like you know, if you talk about your asthma, it almost stops you actually verbalizing what you need to say. Although, you know, like you describe this sort of shock sort of effect, but it also constricts the bronchus sort of constricts, so you actually can't use your oxygen and your breath to verbalize stuff, and you know, that's one of the symptoms that so many TMS patients have, that they can't get out the words that they want to say to defend themselves. And you know, you gave us a really great example there of persevering until your body says that's enough. As Bessel van der Kolk says, you know, the body keeps the score.
Right.
My nervous system said, bye-bye, goodbye world, fucking shutdown, you know? Because she doesn't listen. This woman, she doesn't listen. Let's shut down the system.
Wow.
That's how I got my nervous breakdown.
Yeah. So how did you climb out of that? Because it's, you know, you talk about that and it just almost feels like you're in a hole. You're in bed. You don't want to know about the world. You hope a truck would come along and, you know, take you out. So tell us how you got out of that.
Well, it's two different times, you know, that the part of the depression of just being depressed and wanting to die, which is one part, and then the post-nervous breakdown, not wanting to get out of bed for 2 weeks. You know, well, after these 2 weeks, after the nervous breakdown, this is when I started to see the psychiatrist, who started giving me the SSRIs, you know, antidepressive, whatever. You know, you heal, you get over it. I mean, after 2 weeks, I was up and running again. You know, like, okay, I have station, everything is okay. Let's go back to work. And I got back to work, you know. And then I had the second disc hernia. I fell from an elevator. Like, this is what happened on this. Okay, so on the timeline, this is when my back got the second disc hernia, and this time the second operation did nothing. And this is when I knew I need to do something else in order to, you know, to heal.
Whoa.
Yeah. So you were still in the medical model a bit at that stage.
Yeah.
So although you cleared yourself a little bit from the medical model, you were still sort of involved in that, you know, they know better, they know more about my body than me sort of thing. Yeah.
For years and years. For years and years. I mean, after the second surgery, which failed, the back surgery, which failed, I suffered from chronic pain for years up until, you know, my 30s, where with the day I went with the hypothyroidism. It took me years of suffering before I got to that new place, state of mind. You know? Yeah. So I said it's like it. All my illnesses are spread around many years.
What, like, during that time, Migraine, was there anything, you know, tell us a couple of the aha moments of like the body and the mind, because you had already healed yourself from asthma at this point, so you knew the body and mind were connected.
Yeah. You want to hear the funny part?
Yeah.
Oh, there's more. That wasn't funny what we just went through.
Just no. Because this is amazing. I mean, I talk about it in my first book at the self-heal part. So I've healed myself from asthma, and I set a goal. Now I'm going to heal myself from the hypothyroidism. Yeah, okay. Because the cannabis, I did not want to stop. The bipolar, I cannot, because the psychiatrist says I can't, so I can't. And the bulimic, I still wasn't. I did not tell people, myself or the psychologist, about it. I was still hiding the bulimia. Okay, I was still hiding it. So so the best thing. Okay, let's do the hypothyroidism and the back. You know, okay, I have back pain, I have migraines, but I did not think about it. I don't know why. I don't know why I set myself to heal myself from the hypothyroidism. It took me fucking 6 years. It was the longest journey. Anyway, so like a few months, it took me a few months after I healed myself from the asthma, and I was already, you know, doing the thyroid thing, you know, psychologically and physically, starting protocols, nutrition protocols, and this and that. And all of a sudden, I realized that the migraine stopped and that my back I don't feel pain anymore. It took me a few months to realize. I told you it was funny. It took me a few months to realize that I no longer have migraines and that I don't longer have back pain. Because the work I did on the asthma, you know, did the job. All the rage, all the anger, all the psychological therapy I did in order to heal myself from asthma, it serviced the healing of the migraines, of all the anger, of all the negativity, of all the, you know, that was stored here. And again, with my back, you know.
Right, but what's happening here? And Kevin mentioned it. Kevin is, I met him in some of the TMS groups a while ago. So what he's mentioning is what Dr. Sarno calls, but you still had the thyroid. So you'd gotten deep and deep and deep, and yet here was the last lap. So tell us about what you had to deal with emotionally, because one thing replaced another, which is called like symptom imperative, and Sarno talks about this. So
something with the broadcast now.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Thank God, we're still on. And you were still dealing with it. What emotionally was going on for you that you were able to finally uncover and get naked with what was going on with Meirav?
Yeah. So I hope I understood your question. In regard to the thyroid, there are three aspects. First, Louise Hay taught us, but she's not the only one. She was the first I learned from, that every location of every disease, of every pain the location has meaning. It's like a clue, you know. So when you have something in your throat, you know, the throat chakra, what we say, we have issues with either communication or expression. And for me, you know, I needed, this is one aspect, communication and expression, and I would talk about it. And the second one is the autoimmune situation, okay? Because it's like it has both aspects. So I needed to, I don't know if to better the communication or start communicating with parts of me that I wasn't in connection with, you know, and mostly parts of me that I was embarrassed by, ashamed by. I wasn't aware of them, like the not sexy parts of us, you know. So I needed to get in contact with these parts, which are not very sexy. This is a part of the accepting ourselves, loving ourselves, being in connection with this part, hearing these parts, what they want, what they need, what they feel, and to be able to act on these desires and wishes and wants, you know, one part. And the expression, I found out, because I was a very pleasing child, you know, I did not consider myself as a pleasing person. As a grown-up, I'm not a pleaser. I do whatever, you know, I rock, I do whatever I want. This was on the surface. But then I realized that in certain areas, okay, I was a pleaser. I like, how do you say, when you put down your true desires, when you suppress.
You suppress.
I suppressed some desires, some wish, my true desires in order to. So this is also a process, and this is like a very deep process. I mean, this is after the first stages of healing. This is like on a deeper level. This is us becoming the better version of ourselves, the more connected version of ourselves. So this is one part, one aspect of the healing. And the other one is the autoimmune. Because I had like the, how do you call them? The things that the body tends to fight. The anti-something. You know, when the body affects itself, you find in the bloodstream.
Flight.
What do you find in the bloodstream? No,
hemoglobin.
Anti-inflammatory, or
no? I mean, when the body attacks itself, it does it with things that flow in the blood.
Oh, okay.
And the blood cell and the blood tests show them. Okay, this is how
not antibodies.
Antibodies.
Yeah,
exactly that.
Yeah.
This is how they diagnose hypothyroidism, irregular hypothyroidism, or Hashimoto. In Hashimoto, you have antibodies, and they detect them in the blood. So for me to realize that the antibodies were also telling a story that I was telling myself. There is no autoimmune situation. The body does, and this is something I told you, this is like the first thing that came to my mind when he diagnosed me with the autoimmune disease. How can it be? How can the body be that wrong? And this is the answer I found out. As long as you go, for me, against yourself, the body will show it to you. And in order to cure myself, I need to stop doing that. Easier said than done. Because first you need to go to know, where do you go against yourself? And where do you attack yourself? I mean, this is very gentle, I wasn't like a self-hate person, I wasn't that. So it like took me a bit more awareness and
subtle, very
courage.
subtle. Your self-hate was your self-hating was subtle. It was coming from pleasing others, not hating, but like not loving yourself, pleasing others, saying yes, 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 and the body says no.
Yeah.
Okay, so what was behind, at age 32, you were out of the advertising industry then, or you were still in it?
No, I was still in it, and it took me, I'm 46 now. It took me a few more years because I had mortgage. I needed to pay the bills. But then I already started to write the newspaper, the website. So I was like, there were a few years of parallel, of journaling and advertising. So there were a few years of parallel.
So somewhere when this inability, with the autoimmune, that you were working against yourself, as you said, what was going on to create that in the background? Because most of our patients, most of our people have put themselves up against, tremendous odds sometimes to do amazing things or cope with, family situations that are frightening or whatever, or job situations, as you said. So what in that period, you were able to nominate about the back. What period was going on in your life when the Hashimoto's came up? When you were going against yourself?
Just the fact I was in this industry was going against myself.
It was just another step, another, like holding on tight, and your body said, okay. I'm just wondering, because often it could be that there's a change of boss or a change of, what would you call it? Like, you got a new client that you weren't, used to. Or,
yeah, I know where you're getting to, but no. But in this at this point in life, there was no a specific
particular. Okay, good. That's all all I'm trying to do is expand what you've been telling us, so that our viewers can actually take it on board for their lives and see how they can actually reflect back and how they haven't noticed what's been going on in their emotional lives, and their physical lives have then shown up as being very painful and uncomfortable and sore, and just sort of have that harmony that, like, that's what really, listen to your soul. I thought, and you let your body heal. Listen to your psyche. Be aware of your psyche. Be aware of your soul and your whole body. And that's what you're talking about. And it's just nice to actually turn that around so that the other people can draw in their own experience of how they haven't listened to their soul. That's all.
Yeah, because what I found out is that our soul, the human soul, again, the psyche, it screams at us through the body.
Yeah.
It screams. And we need to, in order to really, really, really heal ourselves, besides taking responsibility, like something within me created that situation, so I need to be responsible, not to blame, but I need to take responsibility, and from there work out. The first thing is to listen. What does my soul, my psyche is trying to tell me? Where does it hurt? What do I need to change? What don't I listen to? Like this is the first thing. And you're asking me questions. It's funny, you're asking me questions which, when people come to me for something, just for counseling, this is the answers I ask. I do the timeline. Okay, what happened then? What happened here? What happened here? Because there's always the timing and the place in the body. So you edit this and that, and usually you get the clues. You get the leads to where what your disease is trying to tell you, to enable you.
Yeah, or where the self-criticism is coming in.
After so many years of looking good, acting good, but hating yourself, and we've all
At
experienced
an
that
unconscious level, Tova, the hating of
unconscious
myself
level, right?
was on an unconscious
Right.
level.
So at what point did you, it wasn't just like, oh, I need to love myself. What did you, like, was it meditation? Was it journaling? Was you writing the book, which is almost like your own journaling? Was
No,
you
the book
calming
was
down?
at
Was
the
you
end.
having a few babies? Like, what was it that was like, I like myself. I really can deal with myself. I can accept myself. I can own my shit. What
So
shifted for you? And I know you said it over years, but tell us a little bit
There's
about
an aha moment, you're saying.
yeah, a little bit
Penny
like that.
drop.
So I think the next big change started when I was pregnant with my fourth child, who is 7 now. Okay, so that was 8 years ago, and by that time, I've already met my spiritual teacher, my ex-spiritual teacher, but she was like a very, very, this is when I started the spiritual path. We're not going to talk about that in the show, but it has a very, very significant portion of my healing, and because I was pregnant, I think I was able to, and I knew that there was life within me. I knew that I will not be depressed during this pregnancy. And this gave me the courage to stop the SSRIs, all the psychiatric pills. Yeah. And secondly, it gave me the courage to stop the medicine for the thyroid.
Wow.
Which I do not recommend to anyone to do. I do not recommend it to anyone. You should not stop your medication before you heal yourself. This is something you don't need to do. Don't follow my action. But anyway, because I knew that as long as there's life within me, I will be connected to the life force. And with the guidance of my spiritual teacher, I knew I will be able to go through the next step of the healing. And I think what enabled it is the fact that because I was more honest with myself, I was finally able to tell my psychologist at the same time that I'm bulimic. And when I started recognition, when you recognize something, you're able to help, to start helping it. And because I was more connected to myself, it enabled me to tell the psychologist, hello, I throw up. I hit a refrigerator and then I throw up for many, many, many years. And she explained to me, this is like the first time that someone explained to me that there's hatred down below, because again, above surface, I was a happy person. Beside the bipolar, I considered myself as a happy person, a loving person. I loved myself. I loved my life. I loved how I look, my house, my husband, my kids, But the self-hate was like way below suppressed. So this was like a very, oh my God, I need to.
Wow.
And with the psychologist and the spiritual teacher, which helped me see this condition on a much higher place from up above on a spiritual level. Yeah. I was
Tell us a little bit more about that. Yeah. How did that spiritual person help you?
Well, this is touching the trilogy. This was the time in which I came to realize not here, because here I already knew the information, that we're not just body, mind, body, human, soul. Yeah. We are a trilogy of body, soul, and spirit. Okay. There's the temporary part, which is our consciousness and our emotional self. And then there's the eternal part. the eternal consciousness.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Okay, so understanding here, like awakening to the realization that we are spiritual entities having a human experience, which is in the body of Meirav Harel, which chose this body with these illnesses, with these sicknesses, in order to write solutions, heal, learn self-love. All that higher notion helped me slowly but surely to really, really, really accept who I am, to accept all my bad sides, all my bad choices, to accept really who I am, and to stop going against myself. And I want to say another stuff, and it regards the thyroid, okay? Because regard the autoimmune thing we were talking about before, the going against yourself, for me, it took so many years, because first there was the emotional part, the soul part, going against myself. Meirav going against Meirav, okay? This was one part of my healing. The other part was Meirav, the temporary entity, the temporary body, going against the higher self, and this is like a much higher lesson, but I needed to go there also. For me, just for me, my personal story, the healing had to go both this level, the emotional level, the soul level, and the spiritual level. This was my journey. I had to go there. Most people don't to heal themselves from thyroid. Most people just need to better the communication with themselves, with other people, need to express themselves, like to really express themselves, and they heal. And I know a lot of people who healed. But for me, it wasn't enough. My spirit wasn't happy with just that. I needed to go, and I was like very angry for a while. Wow, why can't you be happy?
I wanted to say two things, and then I wanted to respond. I'd like you to respond, Meirav, to Gail's comment. But in Hebrew, the word for the soul is neshama, which the same root of the word is for breathing.
The breath.
It's about breath. And
not spirit. The spirit.
Spirit. Right, and spirit we call also the breath. So it's very interesting, because so much of healing, comes from the breath and being in the moment and being grateful. And the breath is the one thing that keeps you rooted. It's another whole show about breathing. But anyway, so here's Gail's comment. I learned to like myself after 50 years, and then the chronic pain started here. I began to resent the body. So it seems like she went from one extreme to the other. Like I loved one thing but hated another. What would you say to that, Meirav?
I learned to like myself after 50 years, and then the chronic pain started here. Started here means
because then she began to resent her body. So something else happened as she began to accept herself, like herself. Her pain started.
Well, I think that if she would have come to me, and she said, "Listen, I just started to love myself, and I got the pain, and the pain started." Like it's not logical, right? Like it's the opposite of.
Right.
But for me, one of my things that lead me, how do you say axioma? I don't know how to say. It's like something I don't mess with. I do not argue with reality. I accept reality as the best and the most accurate. So if you start feeling chronic pain, the minute you start loving yourself, that means that love enabled for all the parts in which you don't, all the parts which yell for help, to rise above. Because if you couldn't love yourself enough in order to, then it would have surfaced up. You understand what I'm saying? This self-love is what enabled for all the other parts, like, I want to be loved too. Like, and in my third book,
calling out. It's calling out. Help! Come to my aid.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. She has done some self-heal. I want some of it too. I want some of it too. Please love me too. And in my third book, I'm talking about working with the inner children. I just love working with the inner children. I work with my inner children all the time. I talk to them all the time. When I get scared, and I don't get scared a lot. I mean, today, when I just feel a crunch, a twist, I'm like, who's scared right now? Why are you scared? What scared you right now? And then, I answer myself and I hug myself and I let go, and I know I healed that place. It was talking to me. And I listened and I sent love and light. And then, this is why I know I'm finished with all the diseases. I'm finished in my life with all the pains, because there's no need. Once we listen to ourselves, when we really listen to ourselves and we ask ourselves, what do you want? Are you scared? What do you feel? When we talk to ourselves, when we're aware of the emotional aspects of us, the different ones, then there's no reason for the body to scream at us. This is how I see it. So I hope it answers
It's a beautiful way of answering it. Yeah. Look, you've talked about all these things, but one of the things that you haven't actually spoken a lot about is that energetic, the energy in our bodies and how it's suppressed. And I guess that you've actually explored that quite a bit. Could you just sort of like give our viewers just an idea of how, like the electrical, we've got an AV node in our heart, and some people with chronic illnesses have, the word's gone from me now, their heart misses a beat.
And it's about, what do they call that?
Yeah, AF it's called, atrial fibrillation.
Yeah.
And it's about the electrical charge in our body. And, as soon as you said that, I wrote your comments down: physical, emotional, energetic, and spiritual. And I thought that energy, we need to actually explore that, because that is one of the things that charge. Like, if you think about your feeling, we're discharging. We're just like a flat battery often, because we've discharged our feelings. So can you just explore that a little bit? I know we're running out of time, just so that our viewers can get a feeling for discharging our great energy that we've got in our bodies.
Yeah, so there are two kinds of energy. Anyway, I'm not talking about the physical part of the physical part of energy, in which, the atom is a void and there's no matter. I'm not talking about that part, okay? Because it is a world of its own. I'm talking about the life energy, okay? In respect to self-heal. So, in life, there's inside our body runs energy, life energy, okay? So, when something bad happens to us, when something traumatic happens to us, then the energy flow gets stuck. It stops flowing. There's like a blockage.
Yeah.
So, and in time, that blockage is like reaching the physical body. Okay, it starts on an energetical level. It flows in the the Chinese call it chi, the Indians call it prana. This is life energy that flows through our body. When we die, this energy goes, and we remain, an organic garbage, right? Like the body. So when bad things happen to us, frightening things, traumatic things happen, there's a blockage. So, and in order to open that blockage, you need to use that life energy in order to open the floodgate. Now, what kind of healing techniques do it? It's like a whole range of Reiki, Theta healing, all the acupuncture, so many healing methods, working with angels, there's so many. And what they do, all these healing methods, they connect to this life energy, and they use it, to flow inside these vessels inside our body, and they open the blockages. Now, there is a very famous Israeli doctor, cardiologist named Dr. Tovah. He invented a method which is called an energetic wash, like energetic wash. In Hebrew, it's called wash. Like he washes you. And what he does for people, it's amazing. Like people lay down, and he's connected to this energy, he has his method. He just treated Tony Robbins, who was amazed, blown by him. And people, what happens to people is because this energy is so strong, they start screaming. And he doesn't even touch them. Why? Because this energy is like opening the blockages, and we know that there is emotional memory within the cells, right? We know that already. So I think what happened is that this energy just flowing, and the release and the whatever happened, it's so painful on a physical level that the people scream. So this is like I don't
pain.
People,
oh, okay.
But this is the energetical channel of healing, of opening, and by the way, we can do it to ourselves.
Tell us how.
So
well, that's where I'm coming from, because it's within us, and that's why I was saying that electrical charge is within us. Like we have got all this energy, and you see it in young children.
What we need to believe, and this is what I teach people. Some of the things I teach people, you just need to set your mind to connect to this energy, like pull it away, like just most people use, just imagine big light coming down from up above, a bright light which is life and pure and health, and just running through your body. This is something we can do for ourselves. You can go to a healer. There are so many kinds of, but we can also do it to ourselves. Just put our minds into it, connect to this energy, and let it flow through our body. I do like meditations in which, I just set your mind in order for every single cell of your body get that healing energy, get that life energy, this pure life energy, and it works. This is like on the
Well, okay. Well, not really, because it's shut down by self-criticism. And that's why I wanted it brought back into the dialogue, because it's important to realize that it's like putting out the fire in you. When the fire that's in your belly, you want to, be strong. And then the self-criticism comes like cold water and puts it out. So that's where that was my motive for sort of trying to bring it back into the story.
Listen, as I said before, I think to break the self-criticism, to break this thing, I started talking about the compassion, the self-compassion, And the thing that enables us to do it is,
Yep.
I like a description of compassion, which says compassion answers the question, why is that thing as it is? Why do we act like we act? Why do we think like we think? Why do we do this? If we understand why we do what we do, like an example, okay? If I'm a liar, okay, I lie to people. So the compassion, okay, will answer the question, why do I lie? And then I know, well, as a child, I used to get beaten up, okay? So I learned as a survival mechanism, I learned to lie in order to save myself. I learned to lie in order to escape from getting hurt over and over again. And I got used to lying, you know, like it became a part of my life. So I can be I can self-criticize myself. I'm a fucking liar. I'm a liar. I don't tell the truth. This is one option. But then I can ask myself, this is the where the compassion starts. Why do I lie? And to see that I did not have a choice. Life taught me that I need to lie in order to survive. So now that I know that, I can open my heart to myself. You didn't have a choice. You had to lie to open myself to myself, you know. And from then to say, oh my God, I couldn't do it any other way. But now I want to start lying. I want to start telling the truth. I want to start feeling how does it feel and how do I feel with it. But this is what will enable me to accept myself as a liar and be nice to myself, although I'm a liar, and then start slowly but surely, you know, making a new pathway in my brain of telling the truth. And this is a new pathway I'm not used to. So the self-compassion, to be self-compassionate is to understand, to really understand why I do what I do, you know? And from there, to accept myself, I did not have a choice. This is what life taught me. This is what I learned from life. But now I want to change it. But now I want to do something else. And this acceptance is what enables me to open my heart and then change the emotional setting and then stop criticizing myself for this. I think it gives another perspective on how to stop the self-criticism. You know, like we should accept myself.
Okay, you have nailed it, woman.
Still
you have nailed it, because that's all it is. Self-acceptance. And that's why, you know, earlier on, when you were talking about compassion, and I thought forgiveness and self-acceptance goes with forgiveness, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And that it was okay because this kept me safe. And I mean, in therapy, that's what we always go through, that whole understanding that these pathologies that are pathologies now were not pathologies in the beginning. They were ways of self-preservation.
Preservation.
Self-protection. Yeah. Meirav, thank you so much. It's just been an awesome hour and a half.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that your story is, we have only touched on it.
Right.
And we've only touched on the stuff that you found to self-heal. But I've got a feeling that you know, as I listen to your story, that really those aha moments about I'm okay came out very strongly with you, and that brought your life force back together. You know, brought you into that feeling that your gut, your energy gut was there, and it was there to work for you. And that's how I've read what you've sort of how you've been explaining things, that, you know, like opening up to yourself in all those different ways, brought it all together. and you became that human person, and you saw your psyche in its reality, in its openness. Yeah. So thank you again. It's just been a wonderful.
We love
talk.
having the child and the adult, and for all of our wonderful listeners and people that are part of TMS Roundtable, Meirav is my co-host in another show that I do on Wednesday nights. It's in Hebrew, the language I'm learning for the rest of my life. So if anyone wants to be in touch with Meirav, she has a really fun website and a great Facebook page. And she's sort of part of, Rose and I and her are part of a team, kind of like the Mod Squad, kind of like Charlie's Angels. But the three of us have begun to work together for this purpose. And what better than to be a healer in that you've healed yourself. And so for you to tell your story with such determination, and will, and energy, and honesty, I mean, I think that people will relate to that, and people will come forward and say, I'm ready to unpeel another layer of the onion and face myself, which is not so bad. And so Meirav is available to speak, to talk, to share. We'll have you again. We'll have you again and again and again. And when Rose and I learn some Hebrew, we'll be on our show. We'll figure out how we can do this. But I'm really excited that we invited you, and I think everyone enjoyed it. I don't even think I know it. And thanks for staying up late and tucking me and you in. And Rose, have a great day. I'll speak to you soon. And Meirav, you're just a love. You're just a love. And Shana Tovah, have a good year, a healthy year. And we'll meet again.
Yeah. Yes, we can.
Yes, we can. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay.